morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Get beat with Carberry, get beat with Pauling, get beat with Popsicle Stick, get beat with anything that for to wait for it. You know what I mean? Courage, right from the terror, yeah.
I told him to watch the little boy so I can go out and hustle and get money and food. And he told me, take your child with you.
Just trying to get the stops one time and then but I just stop and then I always start back.
Same thing, the whole thing is weird. I don't know where we get. It's a truck. And they saw where they're found is where that. We barely play f***ing games with life and we don't even know. Life goes on. And I'm wondering boy pity me or try to be lenient on me. I can be good.
So, the man that off the street then is caught between a rock and a hard place.
You the truth and the reality of being caught between a rock and a hard place, a production of Plan A Productions, but also commissioned by the National Council on Substance Abuse. We want to take a look at that now and why you should really pay attention to this documentary soon to come to a screen near you. Joining me is the manager of the National Council on Substance Abuse, Ms. Betty Hunt, and with her is Chantal Eveling, who is the producer of the film, the filmmaker. She's also leader of Plan A Productions. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. That is a reality you interface with every single day, Ms. Hunt.
Every single day.
And so what do you want for people who view this video to be able to get from it?
Well, firstly, it's the humanity behind addiction. When we first conceptualized the video, it really was to recognize International Day Against Drug Abuse, World Drug Day, at the end of June. We sat with Chantal. She really had the vision, and she thought, you know what? We hear from the outside, we hear so much stories of persons who have traveled the road, but have somehow managed to get back on the right track. We hear stories of condemnation, but we never hear the why. We never see the person behind substance abuse. And so we thought together that it would be a great idea if we could somehow capture the actual users in active addiction, because they have a story. You know, it is not just in Bajan parlance, paros. They have a story. And so to me, it was the humanity behind everything else. And Chantal managed to capture that excellently for us.
What do you do now that you have all of this in your hands?
Well, the first thing we want to do is share it with an audience so that they can actually see what it is that we're faced with. You asked an excellent question at the beginning. This is something we see every day. And I don't think that the average person realizes not only the humanity behind the person who is struggling with drug use, but also what it takes out of persons who respond to those persons in active drug use. And it is not only persons like us in the field who are offering help, but family members, workmates, persons in their circle who too are on that same merry-go-round, especially persons who are intimately involved in the care. And so what I would like persons to take away is that there's hope. We cannot save everyone, but there is hope. And so when persons reach out, when they are vulnerable enough to share a story, let's see how we can move past shrugging it off. Oh, he's only saying that today. Or wait till next week, you will see her. That is part of the recovery process. That is something that we have to accept. And so one of the things I would like people to understand is that if somebody is vulnerable enough to bring themselves to a point where they say, I need help, it doesn't happen. Rehab does not happen in a straight line. There will be times when they seem to be doing really great and may fall off. Yeah. That is not the time for condemnation. Just remember that there's a person behind this disease. There's a person behind this disease. There's a story behind this addiction. And let's see how we can pool our resources, whatever resources are available to us at that time, to see how we can get that person back on the track.
Chantal, confronting the reality, seeing the truth for what it is, how did that impact you and the ability to tell that story?
Well, okay, so the first part of the question, confronting the reality, it was, to be honest, in some ways, it was comfortable yet overwhelming, if that makes any sense at all. It was comfortable because I feel like it was my mandate, something that God gave me to do, to go out there and be in these spaces, meet people, get to know them. So that part was strangely comfortable, being in drug holes and around people lighting crack pipes. I managed to be comfortable in it, and I actually met some very lovely people. How it affected me, it was eye-opening, because I don't think I'm super sheltered, but I have had a greater realization for the fact that we're not all living the same reality on this island. We are definitely not. Our everyday does not look the same. And there was actually a point while I was filming and capturing these stories and listening to people talk to me about their lives, their experiences of other people that they've been involved in substance use with, that I will be honest, I said, oh, so everybody in Barbados does crack or cocaine except me. Because that is how it felt. It felt like everywhere in that space, it felt like every little house, somebody was selling crack. It felt like every little corner you could access it. Before doing this, I did not know how easily accessible this drug was. I really did not. So it was very, very eye-opening that this is a big problem that we have, and many of us, we don't face it daily. Many of us, we go about our days and we're very oblivious to it, but it's there, and it's not even that hidden.
Yeah.
At one point, because of how obvious it had become now that my eyes were open, I actually thought about naming this documentary In Broad Daylight, because I was like, oh, I thought that this was something that you did at night and hidden in a little corner, and now I'm in this space where it is broad daylight. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and people are sitting outside on a step lighting a crack pipe, and I was like, oh, I thought we hid and did this. We don't hide, you know? I was in spaces where on one tray somebody is selling this snap, that snap, biscuits, corn curls, mints, and crack, you know? And so it just felt a lot more real and tangible than it had felt for me prior to doing it.
That is an interesting response. I'm telling you, you got me good on the edge of my seat, so to speak. And so, when is it going to be premiered very quickly? Because
the premiere is July 2nd.
Okay, coming
and
out.
Yes, and right immediately after that, then we'll make it available to general audiences.
Good. I'd like to invite you ladies back. You know, time is really rushing up against us right now.
Yes.
Because I want to go not just beneath the film alone, but the responses to it as well ahead of the premiere.
Yes.
So do promise me. Thank you very much.
Yes, of course. And thank you for having
You're very
us.
welcome. Betty
Thank
Hunt
you.
and Chantal Evelyn. Remember, the film is called A Rock and a Hard Place, not just in broad daylight, but we're literally between that rock and the hard place. We'll see it for ourselves on July the 2nd, and then we'll engage with the National Council on Substance Abuse of what we can do as a society, because they're not pests, they're people. These are humans.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.